Were all the 6x6s diesel?
No, they're all gas.
They're all gasoline?
Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting. We were barely missing the cottages on each side as the driver skillfully etched his way up the steep incline. People were coming out of their cottages, wondering what was coming up the streets. Perhaps a tank, I imagine some wondered. We finally reached Ann's cottage, and I quickly jumped out of the cab and knocked on the front door. Mrs. Young hurriedly answered and was completely speechless to see me as a huge 6x6 standing out in the front. I told her I had something for her and quickly brought in the boxes of rations and set them on the kitchen table. I turned to Mrs. Young and said goodbye and would see them tonight. As we started back down the steep hill.
How many cans did you put there?
Huh?
How many cans?
What did you bring there? How many cans did you give to the Youngs?
For the cans?
Yeah.
Number 10 cans?
Yeah.
About 20.
Oh, wow.
And what size were these cans?
Cans are number 10.
Number
Big
10.
ones, yeah.
The biggest ones going. As we started back down the steep hill, I had a warm sensation and felt good of what I have done to help out some well-deserving people. Not that most of the townspeople were not deserving, but it was only Jean and her family whom I knew intimately. I thanked the driver for his consideration and told him I did not know how I was going to get the rations up there. He smiled and said he was glad to be of help and that it also made him feel good to help someone over here. I thanked him again, and then we let me off to the intersection and headed for the motor pool outside of town. I was just in time for the formation of March to Chow. I had enough time to run up to the shower building and wash up. I was already in my fatigues, and I only had to change my fatigue cap for my helmet liner. What exactly is a helmet liner?
Helmet liner goes inside, it goes on your head to insert the steel helmet.
But you don't wear the helmet, just the liner.
Yeah, well, you when you go in so-called combat, I think I wear a helmet.
But in
You couldn't
Chow,
couldn't wear the helmet alone because it'd be too big on your head. So they get
just
the liner.
the liner.
Yeah.
Why'd they make you wear a liner, though?
Huh?
Why'd you have to wear a liner?
Because the steel helmet would be too big.
Okay.
Too big in the diameter.
I saw the mess sergeant once again and thanked him once more for what he had done that afternoon. I told him that the people I had given the rations to were extremely grateful and especially thanked him for all his kindness and effort. He smiled and said perhaps we could do it again before we left. Anytime I was ready, give him a call. That night, I knocked on Young's door. Jean opened the door when she saw me, drew her arms around me, and kissed me. I was surprised and asked what had brought this about. You know for what, she said, elated, as she ushered me into the kitchen. On the table was spread out the rations I had received from the mess sergeant. There were several large 10 cans of pears, plums, corn, baked beans, and tomatoes, 3 or 4 10 bags of flour and sugar, and several large tins of coffee, cans of dried fruit, dried powdered eggs, 4 slabs of bacon, still wrapped in the cheesecloth coverings, and several cans of pizza. That started it all. Several cans of pizzas, and that started it all. Mr. Young asked hesitantly if I would get into trouble in retrieving this amount of stuff from the Army. I quickly assured him that the person in charge gave me his permission, and this was all done according to the Army's rules and regulations. Naturally, I did not tell him about the CO who might think differently regarding the situation. What he did not know would not hurt him. So the CO never found out.
No.
That
Well,
was
he wasn't around anyway.
he wasn't around. Where was he?
Well, done some social event.
Social event, okay. I thought as I looked at the cheerful and appreciative faces that the reward was greater than the risk involved. I am sure there was much more being done on much a higher plane that was taking place here. I felt happy for them and was only disturbed a little that I could not do more before I left for good. I told the Youngs to look at it as a Christmas gift from your uncle, Uncle Sam.
That's a good one.
That was a good line, from Uncle
That's a
Sam.
good one, yeah.
Yeah. It was a festive mood, and that night, almost like Christmas Eve, back home when I was a small child. Mrs. Young and Jean baked a special cake, and we all sang Christmas carols around the warm, glowing fireplaces. At 2100 hours, we took our tea into the parlor and listened to the BBC.
BBC.
You listen to that one regularly?
British Broadcasting.
Do you listen to that one regularly?
Oh, yeah.
Do you still listen to it today?
No, I don't think you can pick it up here anymore.
Okay, but that was your favorite station.
Yeah.
It gave you all the updates of London.
Yeah.
Yeah. The news of the war would soon put a damper on our festivities, and as we listened to the commentary, we once again thought of all the brave young men dying tonight under a cold, wet blanket of snow. They were all alone, never to share the joy and companionship that we were enjoying tonight, never to see their loved ones once more, and never to taste the joys of life that their young minds and bodies so generously forfeited to their country's cause. We sat around after the news, enjoyed another piece of cake, and tried to talk of more pleasant topics besides the war. Mr. Young talked a little bit about his work as mayor of this town, and he would be a big help. Jean was for him. She not only did most of his secretarial work, she also handled a great deal of the public relations. Jean mentioned that it would get pretty trying at times, but all in all, she enjoyed it and looked forward to doing it each day. Was the mayor's job in that town very busy?
Well, he boosted the town, and he's trying to get more business in the town. That was his job.
Was there much business during World War II in Haverfordwest?
No.
Did you ever go to his office?
No.
But Jean, his daughter, worked with him, right?
I don't think it was a big office either.
No. Very modest. It was now getting late, and Jean noticed by glancing at the clock over the fireplace and mentioned to her parents that she would walk me down a bit. The Youngs thanked me again for everything, and Mrs. Young hugged and kissed me. By now I was getting used to the treatment, and I believed I would miss it if she ever stopped the friendly ritual. Jean put on her jacket and a neckerchief around her head, and I said goodnight again and stepped outside. Jean took my arm and began thanking me for the generous gifts. She said that they made her parents extremely grateful and pleased, and that they were overwhelmed by my kindness. I reminded her that it was not my generosity, but the U.S. Army's generosity. Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam.
Yeah, Uncle Sam. We came to the benches and sat close to one another for the warmth it afforded and the sheer joy of being together. We listened as the heavy bombers darted across the darkened sky.
Yeah.
You remember all the heavy
Rolling back and forth, back and forth. Some of those guys never came back.
never came back.
Yeah, got shot down. Shot down, prisoner of war, laying out in some woods, laying up in a tree someplace.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
19
amazing.
years old.
A lot of Spitfires, right?
Yeah,
How old were the pilots in most of the Spitfires?
19, 20 years old.
Suddenly overheard was a squadron of Spitfires racing to overtake the bombers before they reached the channel to escort them on their mission. The Spitfires always made me apprehensive. Just the sound of their powerful engines relayed to me the awesome prospects of their deadly capabilities. What kind of engines do you think they had in them?
Rolls Royce.
All Rolls Royce?
All Rolls Royce. Top of the line.
Top of the line Rolls Royce. Jean sensed my anguish and held my hand tightly, as if it was to relieve me of the anxiety and fear of the forthcoming events. The thought of her being near me gave me a sense of rekindled strength. I would soon look over my despair and become cognizant once again of her physical attractiveness. For she was attractive, and each time I saw her, it would intensify my attraction to her. I kissed her hand and noticed that she was wearing nail polish and remarked about it. She stated as she stroked my face and occasionally wore it to impress some or to make herself more appealing. I said it was surely working and fulfilling its mission. It had certainly impressed me. She squeezed my hand and kissed me on the cheek. I wanted to do more, but thought better of it. I did not want to appear as if I wanted a reward for bringing over a few rations and was already looking for a payout. I put my head on her shoulder and asked her if she wanted to come across the channel with me in a few days. She looked disturbed and perplexed, and she gasped, "What was I trying to say?" She quickly stated,
Why would I want to take her over there?
"Well, let me reread it. Let me reread it. I wanted to do something more, but much better. I did not want to appear as if I wanted a reward for bringing over a few rations and was looking over a payout. I put my head on her shoulder and asked her if she wanted me to come across the channel. Asked her if she wanted to come across the channel with me in a few days. She looked disturbed and perplexed, and then she grasped, what was I trying to say? She quickly stated, as she ran her fingers through my hair, it must have been frightening to constantly be reminded of what lies ahead of you in a short while. I certainly do not envy your position, and I feel extremely distraught about your safety and what you'll be going through. With that, she reached down and kissed me and whispered, take care of yourself and don't do anything foolish. I was touched by those remarks and her sincerity, and then the full significance of her statement was brought home to me. Once again, time had run out. Once again, I had lost out. The inevitable shadow of fate had touched me again and thrown her net of despair about me, entrapping me in the sea of nothingness, entrapping me of the sea of nothingness. I would leave this beautiful town and its friendly people as I had come in empty-handed with nothing to look forward to. This was the reenactment of Owensboro all over again, with this feeling of isolation and disconnection from everyone I held dear and loved. I got up as another Spitfires flew overhead and told Jean it was getting late. We walked back to the gate and stood there in front of it, holding one another. not speaking, but knowing what each of us was thinking. I kissed Jean and said goodnight, waited for her to enter the college, and then began walking to the billets. In a way, I wish it were over tonight, as the pretense was becoming unbearable for me and well as Jean. What had started out as a joyous, festive occasion resolved itself into the dismal reality of the day. There was no escape. It was all around, all we had to get used to it. I was feeling the emotion I had felt at home, the despair and hopelessness of it all, and finally the realization that this was my life, much of it uncontrolled by me. I would soon be brought to bear the full onslaught of the worst of it, which I surely expected and dreaded. The next morning in formation, the news was all over the company. The advance party had left last night for the continent. It meant only one thing. We would be leaving shortly, in a matter of a week or so. I was free from any detail, and therefore the time went by slowly, which only caused me further angst and feelings of dejection. I thought about going down to the town square where Jean worked, but after I thought about it, I rejected the idea. The only thing that broke up the monotony of the day was marching back and forth to the mess hall and an occasional bull section with the people from the other squads. So what did you primarily talk about at the bull sessions?
They talk about their girlfriends.
And anything else?
And missing home, and what they did at home. They didn't like being here, there.
Were they from all different states?
All different states, yeah.
And generally they're all pretty nice guys?
Yeah, well, they're nice guys, yeah.
And generally all teenagers?
Well, they're all young, 19, 20 years old.
Yeah,
33s.
The next morning in formation, the news of all over the company, an advance party has left. Lape was not too much company, whether in talking to one another or in a group session. He would always seem to have an oddball reason for different situations, and some of the time they did not make any sense. With the mood I was in, I'm afraid I would have taken an issue with anything he would have said. I was not argumentative or antagonistic, but would only listen to his comments and shut the conversation in another direction. His tirades made me apprehensive about the events coming up in several weeks. The fact that he was in my squad in all likelihood meant that he would be dependent on P for support. I did not feel any better at the prospect of it. So, what kind of person was Lape?
Lape was a spoiled brat. He come from father and mother were lawyers. These go to law school. They come from a well-to-do family.
Was he one of the operators of your machine guns?
Operating on what?
What did Lape do? What was Lape's job?
In the squad?
Yeah.
He was the assistant gunner.
So he would help you with the machine guns?
Yeah.
You said they had to use water to cool down the machine guns. How was that done?
What?
How do you access water to cool down the machine guns?
Well, there was a tank in front of it, and the velocity generated heat, and you had that tank in there with water to cool it down.
So you have a total of 3 operating the machine gun.
And the only thing is, it left a stream of steam above it. There was a telltale sign.
So, about how many rounds would you shoot? And then after you shot the rounds, how quickly did
There
you
was
leave?
300 rounds in the belt. You could probably shoot that thing in 2 minutes
And then,
or less.
and after you emptied the belts, what would you do?
put him to get another belt. I never ever did.
Did you have to leave the area because you'd be spotted?
Well, you didn't stay in one area too long. You shot for 10 minutes and got the hell out of there because they were there on you already.
How many months was Lape in combat for?
I would say 2 months.
And then what happened to Lape?
He was getting overcome. He was getting overcome.
So what was the end result with Lape?
Huh?
What happened to Lape?
Lape got hit with a shell and broke his neck.
Was that when he was operating the machine gun with you?
Yeah.
So he was
See, they zeroed it on that gun. I told Lape, don't fire too long. Fire 2 or 3 rounds and get the hell out of there.
And what happened? He followed
He
you?
didn't do it.
How many rounds do you think he fired?
Probably 2 belts.
So he was zeroed in.
Huh?
Lape got zeroed in because he shot too many rounds. Is that right?
Well, I mean, he was over-energetic, but he got hit in the neck and killed him.
So Lape was in a total of combat for 2 months before he got killed.
Yeah.
And then did you have to write the letter to his family?
I did.
Did you write the letter?
Oh, yeah, I wrote to Molly several times. She wanted me to come down and
Wait, did you say that he wrote to who?
Huh?
Say it again. Who did you write to several times?
What?
What name did you just say?
Molly.
Molly?
Molly was the mother.
Mother. Okay. And about how old was Molly then?
Molly was probably in her late 30s.
So Molly was the mother, the young mother of Lape.
Yeah.
And what did Molly do in New York?
She was a teacher, school teacher.
Okay. And so what you were assigned to send a letter over to the mother that his son was killed?
Yeah. But when I wrote, I said, well, I was right next to him. How come I didn't miss it? I missed it.
And then what did the mother respond?
Mother never said it.
And when you wrote a letter, did you have to send a dog tag back?
I sent his dog tags back and his belongings, some of the belongings.
Like what kind of belongings would a soldier have?
Well, he had his wallet with pictures of family in it. He had a address book with people that he knew. And he had about 5 or 6 people there that he knew. And he had, he was writing a small book and he's taking notes down.
What did the book say?
It wasn't a book, it was notes.
It was like a diary.
Yeah, it was a diary.
What did the diary say?
The diary wasn't digested or nothing. It was just notes he took down, and then when he got home or something, he put the notes together and refreshed his memory.
Would he write the diary every day?
Huh?
Would Lape write the diary every day?
What?
Would Lape write in the diary every day about his...
No, he was too damn busy, no.
When Lape got hit, did he die instantly?
Yeah, he got broke his neck.
And that was with shrapnel?
Yeah, overhead shrapnel artillery.
So that was it. He didn't suffer. He died instantly.
Yeah.
So you sent all the stuff back. You wrote a letter to his family. And then what did they do with his body?
They took us back to the States and put him in the cemetery.
Okay.
Unless he wanted to be buried there.
Yeah. Did he want to be buried there?
That was his privilege. We wanted to be buried.
What's that?
That was his privilege. If he wanted to be buried where he died or he wanted to go home.
And what was his
He wanted to go home.
Okay. Fink, on the other hand, I could relate to at any time. Although I stated that he was ASTP. What's ASTP stand?
So, absent without leave.
ASTP.
Oh, that was Allied Specialized Program. That was the ASTP. That's what Lape was in. It was like a college. Well, they come out of a college.
He was altogether a different type of person from Lape, and endowed with much common sense and people smarts. He would ask me occasionally, how did I do going up the hill? I would answer him, great. But I was sorry it had come to an end so quickly. He agreed and changed the subject. He then asked me how I felt about going into combat, and I answered him that I was scared and wondered how I would react initially. He said that he felt the same way, but thought we would both make it out all right, although he did have some real doubts about Lape. Even toying with the idea of putting him into a motor pool, of course, that brought up Post, who was perfectly ideal in the present position. So, we're speaking of Finke now. What happened to Finke?
Think?
Yeah.
Oh, he got killed. He was a squad leader.
How many months was he in combat for?
Who, Finke?
Yeah, before.
About 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
He got killed before Lape?
Yeah.
And what was his demise? What went wrong? How did Finke get killed?
Well, he got caught in a bottleneck and he couldn't get out. We couldn't get out. We were boxed in. And that's when they went into the house. They told them, don't go in the damn houses.
You weren't in the house?
And they were shooting the hell out of the house.
You weren't in the house, right?
No, I was outside. I told them, listen, don't go in that damn house.
And was there a lot of snow outside?
There's snow outside there, about
And so he went inside and he got into a bottleneck. He couldn't get out and he got killed.
Yeah.
Did you have to write a letter to Finke's mother and father?
Well, I did, yeah.
Did you have to return his dog tags to his mother and father?
Yeah.
Did you have to send back his personal belongings to his mother
When
and
they had
father?
left, yeah.
Did the mother and father ever respond to you?
Oh, Molly responded, yes. She
But
said,
how about Finke's mother and father?
Since?
Finke's.
No.
They never
He came
responded.
from a lower class family.
They never responded.
No.
So Finke and Lape both got killed,
Yeah.
and you're still going. Finke went on to confide in me that there was no line of communications between him as a squad leader and the company commander, Captain Droulard. What happened to Captain Droulard?
He was a pussycat.
What
He was
happened?
a pussycat. If you go to the combat or patrol, he'd always get out of it
Like how? How would he get out of it?
because he was scared to get killed.
So where would he go? The back?
He said, I got to go back to headquarters and get some more rations or something like this, because he had a lot of leeway to do what he wanted to do.
As a captain, he had a lot of leeway.
Yeah.
But as yourself, as a private, you had no leeway.
No.
If they tell you to stay there, you stay
He
there.
stayed there, yeah.
And so what finally happened to Captain Droulard?
Finally,
What finally happened to him?
every guy shipped out. They shipped him out
Where did they ship him out to?
back home to the States.
So he had an easy way out.
I think he got a dishonorable discharge.
Why
too,
would you say that?
because of the way he acted the last 6 months.
Was he acting like,
No, he was acting childish. He was worried about getting killed. He was worried about going up. He didn't want to do this. You tell him to do something, he didn't want to do it. You couldn't rely on him.
so you think how did he make it as a captain?
Who?
Droulard, how did he become a captain?
Dooley?
Yeah. How would he achieve such a high rank?
Well, he was in the National Guard, and when the war started, he got in the regular army, and he was staff sergeant for a while, and then he had some talent, so they made him a captain, or first lieutenant.
So he basically had a nervous breakdown, and he was sent back, right?
Yeah.
So that's what happened to Captain Droulard. He described him in a few direct conversations as being aloof, uninterested, and not aware of what was really going on in his company. I told him about the experience we had at Sam Houston, and we could both see the similarity between both incidents. So he was in Sam Houston too.
Huh?
Captain Droulard was in Sam Houston also.
Yeah, well, most of the Army people were sure of that place anyway.
The fact that we did not have a platoon leader also made it difficult and did not have help to improve the lines of communications. So how were your lines of communication?
Well, they said someone down from the other company what the hell they needed and this and that, what the casualties were and all that. They kept track, but not as well as they would if they had somebody directly there.
Also,